In this demo, we will show the purchase order to invoice matching process. In other words, the purchase order lines are matched to invoice lines. This is not an exception processing use case. This is one of the standard invoice processing stages. Once the invoice is received, accepted, and then duplicates are checked, then the PO match process is run. The PO matching process is run before the exceptions check. So in this view, I'm logged in as supplier contact, and I'll submit the new invoice. Now I'm logged in as an accounts payable specialist, and I've received a new invoice case. It's now been processed by the data extraction engine. Once it's done, the system will check that all required data is extracted for the invoice creation. The invoice will be created, and then the duplicate check will be run. This check will be run after that, and the PO matching to invoice is done. If the purchase order lines are matched to invoice lines successfully, then the invoice goes to exception check. If the purchase order lines have some error detected on invoice lines, then the invoice will be moved to an error status. There may be a couple of reasons why matching errors will occur. First of all, there's no purchase order for the invoice, and somehow the invoice was checked into the system as PO type invoice. Another reason is that there's no purchase order lines mapping to invoice lines. And the third reason is currencies on the invoice and on the purchase order lines may not match. So the invoice status is currently showing errors, and I see in my role as the accounts payable specialist those errors. I can check that there are invoice lines and the matching was done successfully to the purchase order lines. Everything checks out, so I'll check the original invoice itself, and now I see that the invoice currency is in euros, while the purchase order currency is in US dollars. I can't process this invoice. I will cancel it, and this supplier will have to resend a new revised invoice for payment. I'll go in and specify the reason for the cancellation. Now the application will generate the email for the supplier with the information that the invoice has been canceled and the cancellation reason. The invoice case itself changes its status to cancel, complete, and the invoice status is canceled. Thank you for watching this demo. We hope that you found it valuable.